You're welcome back to the Woezor TV Breakfast Cafe, and as we intimated earlier, we're going to have a conversation on the building collapse that happened yesterday at Adenta. I was talking about the fire, we're talking about the floods. Now, the collapse of the building that happened yesterday. Over a period of time, we have seen this happen over and over, and Randy was saying earlier, we've seen the likes of Melcom, we've heard the likes of the one that happened at Newtown recently, the building sites recently around Roman Ridge too. Also have happened, and now we have one in Adenta, and reports coming in states that it is a newly constructed building. How did we get here? Where did we go wrong? How does these things happen? How do these things happen? We are speaking to an architect to help us navigate this space, because they are into the building industry and they can properly tell us what exactly goes 1 + 1 2. And building is not just going to call a mason to mix mortar and join blocks together. It's a said that it is an art and it's a science. So a lot of things goes into building. And are we doing it right? What are we doing wrong? Why are we seeing these collapse of building in recent times? We are going to speak to patient Ewurama Ocran. She is the president of Architecture Alliance. Good morning, ma'am.
Good morning, Karen.
Charles, you're doing well, please.
I'm well, thank you. Thanks for having me on the show.
My pleasure. Let's get real quick into the conversation. How did we get here?
First of all, let me say that it's a very sad, disturbing, and frightening situation that we keep finding ourselves in. And my condolences goes to the family. I understand one person probably died. My condolences to the family, and then also to those who were injured. I'm very sorry that they have to find themselves in this situation. We were on Metro TV a couple of months ago to discuss the same issue. And I remember one of the questions we asked was, is this a systemic problem? And I said, yes, it's a systemic problem. It's becoming an issue that we need to tackle as soon as possible. Now, from the professional's point of view, I'll say that it's multifaceted. First of all, we have the professionals at the beginning of your building project. We have the professionals coming in. So we have the architects, we have the engineer who have to come in, do the designs for the construction. Now, we find that one issue is that professionals are not consulted. Everybody thinks that they can build now, so professionals are not consulted. And then two, some do consult professionals, but eventually when they get to the construction stage, they do what they want. So the engineer says use 20 mm iron rod, they go to the market, they find that it's too expensive, and so somebody advises them, oh, you can use 10 mm, and that's what happens. Another thing is that they consult professionals, they consult the wrong ones, because we have people in the system, pretending that they are architects, they are engineers. But how many people actually go to the extent of going to the regulatory bodies like Architects Registration Council, Engineering Council, to actually find out the professionals that they are working with, if they are actually qualified, if they are registered, and they are in good standing? So even before your construction project, this is what you need to think about. Then during the construction, we have issues where materials are inferior, or the right mix is not being used for, let's say, concrete components of the building. Even the labor that is putting together the building, do we have the right people working on it? And now, like I said, everybody thinks they can build. They're putting up their residential building, oh, I can do it. So they just get a couple of people together and then they go ahead and do it. Meanwhile, they don't have the expertise. So that's the construction stage. And then after construction, we are supposed to, when engineers and architects are designing, we design based on the use of the building. So for instance, if it's residential, the engineer is ensuring that this is the load I'm calculating for. The people build, and after they use the building for something else. So if it's residential, maybe they're using it as a warehouse. And we have regulations that say that before you decide to use the building for something else, you even need to go for a permit. Right. But nobody does that. And then the most important part for me is the enforcement and accountability. have all these regulations, building regulations, local government regulations or laws, architects acts, all these regulations, but nobody enforces it. During construction, we know that inspectors are supposed to go and inspect right from foundation to the completion. After that, you are supposed to have a habitation certificate even before you move in. But nobody is ensuring that. And that's why we keep having these issues day in, day out. So from the professional point of view, these are some of the issues or reasons why we are at this point.
Okay, but talking of accountability and talking about enforcing some of these regulations, which people should we hold accountable in these instances?
In these instances, everybody in the built environment industry needs to be held accountable. From the MMDAs to local government, everybody. Recently, we had a situation we all heard on in the news that when it comes to the demolition of some of the buildings in the waterways, the enforcers have been punished by being sent to the northern region. Mm-hmm. And my thought was, how do you hold people accountable for things they're supposed to do and they're not doing by just transferring them to the north?
Yeah.
I mean, it's an insult to those in the northern region.
Mm-hmm.
These agencies need to ensure that their people are working. And if they're not working, if they don't want to work, we get them out and get the right people in.
Right.
We cannot continue looking on for things like this to be happening, and then we keep talking and no action is being done. We are tired of the talk. We need to act. That's the point where we've gotten to. So everybody in the built environment space, for me, is accountable.
Right. Okay. So, Ewurama, away from the built environment, I am a lay person who knows very little about this, but I find myself in a building, say an apartment I've rented, and I go out to town, and before I come back, or maybe I get a call in town that the building just collapsed, and I do not have any idea how did it collapse. It looks so strong. To the lay person, what are some of the signs that you can see in a building that would make you know that this building is a ticking time bomb?
Okay. Sometimes you just can't tell because they've covered it so well that you just can't tell. But for some others as well, there are very obvious signs.
Okay.
So, for instance, you see a crack in your building and it's running from the top to the bottom.
Right.
This, number one, is a ticking time bomb. You know that something has to be done about it. So, most importantly, look out for cracks.
Okay.
Look out for cracks. Like I said, most of the time it's covered, so you won't be able to tell. But also, before you rent a building, I mean, a lot of people are desperate. A lot of people just need places to stay, so you won't be able to do your due diligence.
Yeah.
And so it will be very hard. But at least try and do some due diligence. Make sure they are renting from the right people. And then, like I said, most importantly, look out for cracks. If there are any issues, your instinct is telling you that this is wrong, do something about it. Right.
Okay. Thank you very much for those tips. But final words before you take leave of us.
Thank you for having me. Like I said, most important for me is that we need to move beyond the talk and then get into action. A couple of years ago, the same issue happened. Some of the professional bodies were brought together to find out the causes. They put together a report. As for now, nobody knows what has happened. So is it just a matter of putting together reports and then moving on and sitting down, not acting? What are we genuinely doing about it? So I call on everybody in the public sector, everybody who has an influence on this. Let's come together. Let's find solutions. Let's fix this. Sometimes you think that it hasn't happened to you, so you're okay till it happens to you. Let's be our brother's keeper. So that's my final words, Karen.
Thank you very much, Ewurama. Patience. So viewers were speaking to Patience Ewurama Ocran, President of Architecture Alliance. Thank you so much for making time for us, ma'am. And so